All right, what's up, everybody? Look, I know I am on a trip right now, and I told you I wouldn't see you for a few days, but I couldn't help myself because we got a little bit of alpha that I just had to share with you. So earlier in the week, I made a video about CZ the GOAT. I told you all, look, this thing is going to do well. I think that it has a lot of potential. It's being marketed and pushed by a guy who was behind the guerrilla marketing push, which obviously did really well. And from that point, of course, CZ the GOAT did go up like a 2, 3, 4x from that point. So I know some of you guys made like 200, 300% on that one. So of course, congrats to you. But that guy who's behind that push sent me a message just like literally as I was landing in Vegas. And he was like, hey, we're doing another push on this company named Paysenger. Their native token is EGO. I think it's going to do well. It is already up like 60, 70% at this point with a pretty decent market cap already. But he thinks that there is a lot more room to grow, especially as they do continue it. And although there is no guarantees, he has a really good track record. So I just listened to him, right? Especially with these lottery tickets like we've been talking about here on the channel. So let me tell you a little bit about who they are, what they do, because it is actually really interesting. And I do see benefit from it as a creator. So I think I can understand why there would be a value there. So the company's name is Paysenger, right? And so what they're doing is they're creating a platform that's similar to Patreon, okay? In which it allows you to access like exclusive communities and get extra perks from creators, whether it's like YouTubers or artists or musicians and things like that, right? In which you can sign up for a membership or some type of on-demand type of exclusive term, and you can get that extra stuff or just those extra features or extra perks or services from your favorite creators. Now, again, they are kind of similar to Patreon by nature, but they're doing it a little better in my opinion, just because they are, for example, removing the fee structure that Patreon has. Now, my Patreon account, for example, gets charged at 8% of anything that gets charged, right? So say, for example, if the Patreon's at like 10K a month, then $800 per month goes to Patreon, which obviously sucks as a creator because we are the ones doing all the work, but Patreon is kind of facilitating that by giving us the platform. Whereas what Paysenger is doing is they're kind of removing the fee structure and implementing it in much more of an organic way, in my opinion, that makes it more fair for the creator. Now, as I also said, they're doing things that Patreon, for example, just doesn't have. Like they're implementing a NFT marketplace. They're implementing a membership structure kind of similar to Patreon, but a little bit more consistent. They're also doing on-demand purchases in which you can specifically request one specific thing that you would like from the creator. So for example, if you just want to pay someone for a shout out, you can just pay that creator for a shout out without having to get a whole membership. And so things like that, right? Now, this is a platform already being used by thousands of creators and thousands of people subscribe to those creators. And so it does have a lot of credibility already. Now, the platform itself was also developed off the back of funding from a ton of really high level investors, right? They got VCs on board. They got some of these investment companies on board. I mean, they have people actually backing them with a ton of experience in the world of Web3 and the world of service provision. And so by kind of injecting those two things into it, obviously we can see why the platform has done so well. And just go down to the links in the description. You can see the platform yourself. I mean, it's really good, okay? Now, let's kind of move into the alpha, okay? So as I mentioned before, there's a native token of the platform, and it's the EGO token, EGO. You can find the links down below. I'm not trying to rhyme, I'm just joking. But with the token itself, like I mentioned before, it's the native token of the platform, meaning it's the token that's used on the platform, right? So whenever you make donations to a creator, whenever you make payments, whenever you're using it, you can do tasks to gather tokens and actually gain just make money, generate revenue. Even if you're in the community, you can do all of those things with the EGO token itself. And in my opinion, I think this is really strong because the better the platform does, the better the token does, right? And so it kind of gives some type of, I don't want to necessarily say stability, but some type of consistency, right? Because say, for example, if the crypto market crashes, it doesn't necessarily mean the EGO token can't do well, because if the platform is doing well, that means that there's demand. And if there's demand, obviously that's beneficial for token price, okay? So in my opinion, in terms of going forward, I think obviously it is dependent that the platform does do well, but they have sufficient funding to continue to fund this thing and develop it to make it do well, in my opinion. And I think also on top of the fact that they have such a strong community on the platform already, that they have a base level of demand that should steadily increase over time, as long as they do, of course, continue to develop. And so with all of these things, obviously there are some other more important things in terms of the token. For example, they are CertiK audited, which isn't necessarily like a mandatory thing, but it is just that extra plus, like, okay, I'm glad to know that it is stable from a more fundamental technical side. They also have their full team doxed public, readily available for anyone, which again is just a security thing to let people know, like, hey, we own this, like we represent this, we're okay with this, we'll spend the money to get it audited because we're that confident in the in the token itself, right? And in the company itself. And so because they have all of these things, because they have the VC backing, because they have a necessary funding, they have sufficient volume, they have a community, they already have people using the platform, they have development, they have utility. Because they have all of these things, I can see why he thinks this thing is going to do so well. And there is a reason why he's working with them, right? Because he has a very good track record and I trust the guy. So with that in mind, I wanted to bring you this alpha play. Please do remember, there will be times where the alpha plays that we bring to the channel are not right and they don't transpire into anything, and maybe even the prices go down, right? There will be times that happens. That's the nature of the market. But my goal is just to bring you as many as I possibly get. I throw $100 into each one just to kind of see what happens. Some will be winners, some will be losers. That's the fun part, and that's the game I like to play. So let me know down in the comment sections below. Have you heard of Paysenger? Have you used it? Have you heard of the EGO token? Let me know all those things down there. And of course, I was gonna say I'll see you whenever I get home, but there's a chance I'll make another video before I leave here. So of course, I hope you guys did appreciate today's video. I hope you did enjoy it. I appreciate you so much, and I will see you all next time. Peace out, everybody.